Hi everyone! So this is going to be a much longer video about what the Akashic Records are, how we can work with them, and also what is happening in an Akashic Record reading that I'm really excited to share about. So stay with me until the end if you want to dive a little bit deeper into this topic. It's a very elevating topic, a very mystical topic as well. So let's start with what are the Akashic Records? So as you probably know, or as you maybe know, Akasha is Sanskrit and it means space. So space is really the primordial element that holds all of the other elements together. And we can imagine also it is the source of all of the other elements. So Sanskrit is a very ancient language, and Akasha has been mentioned there in one of the most oldest books on the planet, which is the Rig Veda and the Upanishads. These are books that are channeled by really great sages, and they basically offer a lot of insight about what life really is and about what our role, our dharma as human being is in this life. So they talk about Akasha being the primordial element, and we can imagine that it is like the primordial element or like the subtle fabric of everything that holds everything together. Because you imagine earth, water, fire, and wind, they are all existing in something, but in what are they existing? They're existing in the Akasha, they're existing in the space. So we can say space is almost like a mother because it holds all that is. It gives space to everything that is. It gives space to everything that wants to be painted on a blank wall. So you can imagine the space more or less like this. It's the fifth element. It's often not mentioned. Oftentimes there are only 4 elements mentioned, but actually this fifth one is quite important. And you can imagine the Akasha space. So now the Akashic Records is also a really interesting concept, because the Akashic Records are the memory of everything that has ever happened. So we can imagine in the space-like fabric are all of the thoughts, all of the actions, everything that will ever happen, maybe also all future possibilities, embedded as something like an imprint or as something like an energetic code. So the Akashic Records hold this imprint. The Akashic Records hold the information, the knowledge of everything that has ever happened, every pattern, every action, everything that we can think about on this planet. And everything that is alive has an Akashic Records. So stone has an Akashic Records. I have my personal individual Akashic Records, you have yours. And also houses have an Akashic Records, lakes, places, the earth, the cosmos, everything. And also there is a unique individual Akashic Records. And oftentimes the Akashic Records are compared to a library. But don't misunderstand that, because it's not actually a library, like an astral place, no, because the Akashic Records are everywhere and you're always connected to them. It's not possible for you to be separated from your Akashic Records. But the metaphor of a library is quite genius, because what the Akashic Records really are, it really is something like a library. So you can imagine if there's like a huge temple library and you enter, and then you go to one of the rooms and it has so many books, maybe infinite books, infinite rooms. And you go to one of your rooms and there's your name, and then you can go into it. And then you see the maybe more rooms of all of the different lifetimes. Then you go to your now lifetime, and then there are all of the things of your past, of your future, of your present recorded. So we can imagine it like that, and it's like a quite helpful visualization for our mind to start to grasp what the Akashic Records are, to start to understand it. And of course, we also have to know that the Akashic Records is something that is beyond our minds. It really is. It's beyond our human understanding. So we can explain it in words, we can try to understand it, but really we just have to experience it, because it's an actual experience. It's an actually frequency that we can tap into. And that is exactly what is happening in an Akashic Record reading. So in an Akashic Record reading, I, or whatever Akashic Record channel, Akashic Record practitioner, is opening your personal Akashic Records and even this in itself is a great experience because you are able to connect into that Akashic record frequency. It's something that is happening beyond words. But also, the Akashic reader is connecting to the guides or to the guardians of the Akashic records that then channel through the information that is the most valuable for you to know. And most of the times you will be also able to ask questions. So for example, in my readings, I always tell the people, ask the questions that you really want to ask, write a list out, and let it be questions that really come from your heart, something that you really want to know about. And then you can open up the Akashic records and you can ask your questions and you can receive their elevating perspective for your life. And so through that, you can receive so much clarity about your life, about your purpose, sometimes also about your past lives, but it's not so important for the Akashic records. They will reveal a past life if it's important for you, if there is something that maybe still needs to be cleared, or maybe oftentimes there is a gift or some ability that you had in your past lives that it helps you to remember that you had it so that you can reactivate it. Then the Akashic records can also help you to see through challenges, any challenges that you're experiencing in life, to see the higher perspective, to see the purpose, which this in itself alone is a big relief, but then also to know what you can do to shift the situation, no? To create like a positive change, a positive outcome for the challenge that you're facing. Then it can also help you to know more about the relationships that you're in, what is your karmic connection, what you can do to maybe resolve any conflicts if there are conflicts, and also what you can do to deepen the connection. And it can also help you, it's a really great tool actually, if you plan any projects, business, any offerings, and you want to just receive some more guidance on how to best do that, or also if you feel that there is a block, then you can also put some light on that with the Akashic records, and it can really help you to expand your project because it can give you the information that you need in order to do so. And of course, that is one of my favorite questions. I think everyone who's ever receiving a reading should definitely ask, what is my purpose in this life? And oftentimes it's not what you think it is, but it's such a beautiful question to ask, like really to know, okay, what is the purpose in this life for me? Why am I on earth? That's one of the most basic human questions that people ask themselves at some point in their lives. And that is definitely a golden question. I would recommend it to, I would definitely recommend to ask that question. Other than that, it can also really, really help us to know what we have to do for our well-being, our health, our body. Of course, an Akashic record is never a substitute for any diagnosis or treatment that you can do with a doctor, but it can really give you very good insight and inspiration for your health, for your wellness. It can help you to see the deeper causes of any sicknesses that you're experiencing. May it be physical sicknesses, may it be something in the mind, emotional, sleeping disorders, anything like that. It's always good to ask, why am I experiencing this and what do I need to do to heal that? So, and of course, all of the things that I just mentioned are really just inspirations for your questions. Because when you sit down and you just tune in and you listen to your heart and you write down the questions that you want to ask, you will automatically know what questions to ask, and in that way also directing the reading towards the direction that you want to go. One last thing that I want to share is how we can work with the Akashic records. So as an Akashic record practitioner, like, what are you actually doing? How are you tuning into the field of the Akashic records? And I have to say that there are so many different ways of doing this. I only know 2. I'm using only one because I feel it's more safe. But one of the ways is to travel up. So you, with your awareness, you travel up. You need some training in that too. You travel up and you go to the Akasha. It's kind of like a very subtle movement that you do, but it's a very deep movement because you do it with your energetic body, and you will go up to be in the Akashic records to receive some visions and guidance. So when I do that, it's much too intense. So I prefer not doing that, because then I'm really up there and I don't feel that I can do reading in that state, but I can receive valuable visions for my life, yes. So then the way that I'm using, and I think it's a very common way to do it, it's called the pathway prayer. So there are different pathway prayers from different teachers. And with the prayer, you can really set a space to open up the Akashic Records and then to connect. So for example, I also share Akashic Record trainings, in that I actually teach people how they can use the Akashic Records, not only for their own lives, but also to serve other people and to do readings for other people, which is a really powerful tool for healers and for light workers, for intuitives, for really for anyone, but especially for healers, because you can also connect the Akashic Records with any healing modality that you're already practicing, and it will just up-level your service, it will up-level your practice. So when I do the trainings, for example, I give an initiation into the Akashic Records. And in this initiation, people really connect with the Akashic Records, so then the connection is there. And once you have the connection, it's much more easier for you to go into that field and to channel that field, to go back to it, because you really feel, okay, you're home in that frequency. And that's about all that I wanted to share for now. So I hope that that video served you, that it maybe provided you some more information about what the Akashic Records is and how you can use it to transform your life.